why don't you sit here?
Do you tell me when to go, or do I just go? And that's the start. Okay, good evening. On March 5th, dual immersion students were sent home with a letter stating that after thoughtful review of enrollment trends, student needs, and school and district priorities, the decision has been made to discontinue the program. This decision affects over 200 students at Coates Elementary School, nearly 1/3 of the student body. Families were given just 1 week to decide whether to remain at Coates or transfer their child to Dunn. Many of us reached out to the board and district with questions and concerns, yet received no response. 1 week was simply not enough time to make such a significant educational decision for our children. We are left waiting for clarity and transparency and received none. Chris Pearson stated that the reasons for phasing out dual immersion include staffing challenges, enrollment concerns such as small class sizes, and an increase in native Spanish-speaking students in the program. However, the reality does not support these claims. Let's look at class sizes compared to DPI limits. 5th grade CES dual immersion has 27 students with a limit of 30. 4th grade has 29 students with a limit of 30. 3rd grade has 34 students with the limit being 20. 2nd grade has 39 students where the limit is 20. 1st grade has 39 students where the limit is 21. Kindergarten has 46 students where the limit is 21. These are not small classes, these are full classrooms. Regarding staffing, we currently only have 1 vacancy, which is for an EC/CCR teacher. That does not reflect a widespread staffing issue within the program. As for the statement regarding native Spanish-speaking families, that comment was concerning and lacked proper context. It risks alienating families who are explicitly welcomed into the program. District information clearly states that all kindergarten students are eligible to join and no prior Spanish-speaking knowledge is required, and that native speakers are encouraged to participate to strengthen their language skills. Data was not presented as a reason for transferring students, but is important to consider. According to the NC DPI report card, Dunn Elementary has fewer dual enrollment students and with over 150 more in their student body than us, and we outperformed them 2 out of 3 times in the past 3 years. Irwin Elementary does not have dual and has consistently underperformed us. Ask for the data. The data will show that all English-speaking classrooms are equally as low and that dual immersion students are not the cause for lower performance scores. Anderson Creek, Bowie's Creek, Willington, Shawtown, South Harnett Elementary don't have dual, and they're all D schools. The issue appears to be broader, related to curriculum and instructional priorities. Programs like Benchmark and Eureka are not adequately preparing students for end-of-grade testing. These programs do not provide enough exposure to key skills such as word problem solving, and the data it produces does not reflect true student ability. There are additional concerns regarding district priorities that I've shared in my written communication. Dual immersion is one of the few enrichment opportunities available at the elementary school level. These students have invested years building relationships within their school community. They should not have to sacrifice those connections or their stability in order to continue their education. While we understand the desire to limit the program to 2 locations, we ask that you allow current students to complete the program together in the school where they have grown and feel supported. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Powell, for allowing us to speak this evening on behalf of dual language immersion programs, and thank you to the school board in Harnett County. My name is Dr. Maria Cody. I am the Goodnight Distinguished Professor in Education and a Professor of Multilingual Education at North Carolina State University. I sit on the executive board of the Carolina Association for Bilingual Education, and I also sit on the executive board of the National Association for Bilingual Education as the Eastern Region representative in the United States of America. The reason I'm here tonight is to speak specifically about the abrupt closure of the dual language immersion programs. And for the record, I just want to state to the school board that it's important to note that North Carolina has the 5th largest number of dual language immersion programs in the United States and the largest number in the southeast region of the United States. So we take dual language immersion very seriously in our state, and we prepare our educators to perform and to increase and to perform high quality services and pedagogies on behalf of those children. The evidence, first I'd like to say that the evidence on the effectiveness of dual language immersion is to build bilingualism and biliteracy skills, as well as to bolster academic achievement and cognitive skills. This is irrefutable. As a country, we have more than 60 years of high quality research which has repeatedly demonstrated these facts. But my comments here tonight are about the letter that I wrote to Superintendent Matthews and I sent to him on March 15th, 2026. I voiced 3 concerns. First, the community, that's parents, teachers, and children, the community does not have the data on DLI programs that are being abruptly closed. Data on student achievement in DLI programs needs to be disaggregated by student characteristic. In other words, if there's a newcomer student that is in the program in 4th grade, and the data look like the scores are very low, it's very likely attributable to a student who doesn't speak the language and is forced to take a test in a language that they don't understand. There are also cognitive benefits to bilingual education. I could talk probably for two days about that, but I'll leave the cognitive and academic benefits. The second issue is the phasing out that was described about the programs. This is misleading. Clearly, phasing out would be a 6-year period whereby kindergarten wouldn't be admitted the next year, so over a 6-year period. That would be a true phasing out. In contrast, last month's meeting, someone said it was phasing out. This is an abrupt closure. My third point is that teachers and families and students have been left out of the conversation of dual language immersion with no rationale and no input, and that just is not conscionable in today's day and time. This is a low-income rural school district. Obviously, families cannot absorb time or transportation to get their child to the DLI program if they selected another one 30 miles away. So here I'd just like to ask for a couple of things. Immediate pause for the district on the closure of DLI, convening all stakeholders into productive conversation.
Ma'am, your time has expired. Thank you.
My name is Chris West, and I would just like to say I would like everybody to take their personal beliefs out of whether they like the program or do not like the dual language program. One thing I can say from my personal experience, I have 2 children in the program at Coates Elementary, and it has been great. My son, we did a project where I had some contractors come, and he was able to speak to them and relay what I was trying to get them to do. And I couldn't do it, and I'm sure if you were involved in what I was in, you wish you could speak another language. My daughter, before she goes to bed, we're brushing her teeth, she's speaking Spanish to me, and it's just amazing. I mean, I can't imagine how much this is going to help them in their future career, especially my son. He's so far involved into this program. With that being said, I have an employee that's bilingual, and I've even had an administrator from Harnett County Schools whose children come to our program, and he's called me up and says, "Hey, can't you get her to help him with Spanish homework?" And I said, "No, she doesn't even help my son. The grammar, she does not understand the grammar." And this is the truth. I mean, she cannot help him. We have to use Google Translate like he did, and he said, "I just didn't understand." So if I was sitting where you guys were, I wouldn't understand that, unless I had to deal with this firsthand. I've heard different reasons why this program's stopping. I've heard trouble finding teachers. That's just not true. They use the Participate Learning Program. There's not out of 21,195 applicants, only 750 are chosen. That means these are probably the best of the best. And an example is Mr. Dennis teaches my son. He's now doing English and Spanish, and English is not his native language. And he's doing a fantastic job. And my son's an AIG student, along with his friend whose dad's here. I mean, it's amazing how many, the cultural, how, they've come together. I mean, I just can't speak highly enough about the program. Not only that, participation numbers. I hear about participation numbers. Well, at Coates Elementary has 214 students as opposed to 179 at Dunn, which that's our option. So tell me where that makes sense. We're shutting down 214 students to move them to a place that has 179. Shouldn't that be reversed? I would rather keep them both. But then I called around other schools. There's a lot of students at these programs, and I just can't imagine what kind of careers they'll have being able to speak 2 languages. As far as test scores, it was mentioned earlier. I mean, we've got a D in Coates, we've got a D in Irwin, and there's only miles separating.
Hello, my name is Cora McCurley, and I'm a 6th grader at Harnett Central Middle School. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the cancellation of the dual language program. Me and my fellow dual language students have been in the program since kindergarten, and it really bothers me that we aren't getting the education that we were promised. When we were in kindergarten, Harnett County Schools promised us Spanish 1 and 2 credits for high school, Spanish education, an Apple certification, and a chance to become globally competitive. Throughout this program, I've not only learned a second language, but I've developed strong communication skills and flexibility that wouldn't be nearly as good if I hadn't done this program. I've also developed global competitiveness, and that's one of Harnett County Schools' goals for students. And a really good way to do that is to teach them another language. The problem is that Harnett County Schools is getting rid of this program. Me and my fellow students have made it to the 6th grade dual language, so that means we've completed nearly 7 out of our 9 years with the program. The 7th graders have completed nearly 8 years out of our 9 years, so that means they only have 1 year left. We've worked way too hard and way too long to see all of our hard work get flushed down the toilet. We're all fluent in Spanish, and it also doesn't make sense that we're going to be learning back from the start in high school. Luckily, I have some solutions, but to be clear, I want this program to continue. But if it doesn't, I think that the North Carolina Virtual Public Schools Spanish 1 and 2 courses should be offered in the morning when we would usually do these classes. This wouldn't be as good as having a teacher in person, but it would at least get us that education and credits that we need. My second solution is to allow the teachers from the other schools to come to us instead of us to them, because they have cars and we don't. We've worked way too long and way too hard to see all of our hard work thrown out the window. And ever since kindergarten, I've been really excited to learn another language because, it would help me in future careers. And now I don't know if I'm going to get that opportunity because it's being taken away. So I would ask the school board to please reverse this decision and let us all get that education that we were promised.
Thank you, Ms. McCoy.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm here today to express deep concerns about the decisions to close dual immersion program, particularly because families were not consulted and there was no clear or timely notice before moving forward. I am also concerned about how student data may have been interpreted to justify this decision. If the board is relying on last year's academic performance, it is critical to consider the context. For example, last year in Coates Elementary School, there was only one teacher responsible for both English and Spanish instructions in 5th grade, with 38 students. This proves wrong the statement made in the last meeting on March 2nd that there are DLI students with 12 and 13 students. The same happened last year is happening this year with students in 4th and 5th grade with only one teacher in charge of instructions in both languages. Evaluating the entire program based on EOG results not provided a valid or fair assessment. Additionally, I would like to understand how the district is classifying students as English speakers versus Spanish native speakers. What criteria is being used? Are these determined based on formal languages assessments, or are there assumptions being made based on names, backgrounds? These distinctions carry serious implications and must be handled with rigor and care to avoid inequitable or biased decision making. In my case, all my children speak Spanish at home and English. One of my daughters was in the hospital for almost a year with myelodysplastic syndrome. She was unable to attend school during the time, and that was a big emotional impact on her. Not only was she unable to learn, but was also not able to speak to her teachers or classmates. Now that she's back in school, she is being again hurt with the decision of closing the program. She is worried because she won't be able to see her favorite teacher, Miss Cosme. She won't be able to talk to her classmates. Her best friend is fluent in Spanish and English, and they are learning together a second language, and she fears that she won't be able to communicate with her grandparents. There are the burdens that your decision is putting in the minds of an 8-year-old girl who is a cancer survivor and wants to remain in the class with her friends. And I want to remind you that our children are not only Americans, they're citizens, they are human beings who sometimes have faced more challenges than many adults here, and sudden decisions should not add more instability to their lives, but instead protect the opportunities and safe environment they have.
Dear Harnett County Board of Education, hello. My name is Haley Avila. I'm a 16-year-old currently attending Triton High School. Since kindergarten, I have been enrolled in dual language immersion classes, a journey that has profoundly shaped both my academic and personal identity. This long-term commitment to bilingualism has provided me with unique tools that extend far beyond the classroom. Beyond simply learning a second language, being in these classes has offered me several key advantages. Studies show that bilingual individuals often possess better problem-solving skills and higher executive function. Essentially, my brain has been trained to switch between different systems of rules, making me a more adaptable thinker. Because I have spent my formative years bridging two languages, I have developed a deep appreciation for different cultures. This allows me to act as a bridge, helping Spanish and non-Spanish speakers communicate effectively and empathetically. In today's globalized economy, bilingualism is a significant asset. It doesn't just lead to higher paying roles, it opens doors to careers in international businesses, healthcare, and law, where clear communication with native Spanish speakers is vital for providing quality service and care. In the modern marketplace, bilingualism is a high value skill. It positions me for leadership roles where I can manage international teams and serve a broader demographic, leading to greater career stability and increased learning potential. Language is the gateway to culture. Through my studies, I have developed a profound sense of cultural empathy. I don't just translate words, I understand the nuances and traditions behind them, allowing me to navigate diverse social environment with maturity and grace. Furthermore, learning two languages simultaneously has strengthened my understanding of English grammar and vocabulary. By comparing the two, I have gained a more sophisticated grasp on how language works as a whole. Ultimately, my experience in dual language classes has not only prepared me for a successful career, but has also empowered me to be a more inclusive and effective leader in my community. For these reasons, I want to ask Mr. Matthews, our superintendent, and all the members of the school board to reverse the decision to cut DLI programs in our public schools. I ask you to please do not forget my words and receive my public comment as a formal petition. Keep the dual language immersion programs in the Harnett County Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you.